Like I said earlier, at least I put my pants on right.
Okay, go ahead and introduce your...
I had to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Okay, Mark told me that I was going to talk about basic assembly. Thank you, Mark, for reminding me. You know,
Battery's going.
basically, you know, you get your model on your sprue, and I'll start with cutting tools. Your hands, that works. Of course, your X-Acto knife, you can trim it off that way. Sprue cutters are really good. This is a Juron, and it's fair to mediocre.
Why'd you say that?
Because it doesn't cut really close. You know, it'll kind of get there, but you still have to deal with it. The one that I was put onto when I was working up at Galaxy Hobbies in Linwood was God Hand, and they're really pricey. This one cost like $50.
Wow.
Is that a Dutch produced?
It's Japanese.
Japanese God hand,
so
yeah.
Japanese.
5.0 or?
Yep. And
I
it's,
was gonna say, don't try that if you want to talk about
Can you plug that in?
The company I'll
Plug
always
by the
back
same
up.
for me, please?
Who's those?
Zero.
Zuron. So, you know,
Mir?
yeah.
God hand, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. So the thing about the God Hand ones is that they trim
So it's
really,
really,
really
oh, yeah, I
close
can
to
see.
really close to the part.
Wow.
The only issue with these is they're rather fragile, so they come with their own little protector. And it's you can trim very close to
Where'd
the.
you get that?
I got this at Galaxy Hobby, which is no longer there. I think Skyway Model has them. And so, but it gets really close to the part, so you have very little cleanup to do. Less so than using these. These are good tools. They're really good for big sprues and stuff like
Well, it
that.
all depends on the size of the number
Yeah,
you get.
yeah,
That's why I was
Yep,
asking
yep.
which one you were using or
Yep.
showing you these.
Yeah, because those are good, and I've got a smaller one.
God hand?
God Hand, it's out of Japan, and it's really good, especially if you've got lots of small, fine parts. You know, if you're doing a tank with 8,000 road wheels, you know, and
Or-
the sprue attachment is really close. You
Or
can
like
sit there.
headlight guards or something.
Yeah,
That-
yeah,
I would think
exactly,
the real
exactly.
fiddly
You know,
stuff.
some of the dragon kits, you know,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the light guards and stuff
Yeah.
like that. These work really well for
Okay.
that.
Missing Links
Do you
had brought
use them
that thing
also,
up,
Clay?
and I don't remember the name of the
Do you use them
quote
also?
everyone that used them
Do you
agreed on, but it
use-
was Japanese. And I went looking on
Can't hear
eBay.
Yep.
Cheapest one that you could get from Japan was $37 plus the shipping. That's why I was wondering
Yep.
what it was called, because I may take another look again.
Yeah, so yeah, this I got at the local hobby shop, and it was around $50. So, yeah,
if I'm-
kind of pricey. And of course, cleaning up, you know, your parts, you can use files. You know, everyone should have a set of small files that work really well. I found that sanding sticks are even better.
Whoa, where did you get that
Yes.
stick?
Huh? This?
Yeah, where'd you locate that?
Sally Beauty.
Sally Beauty?
Sally
That's what I
Beauty.
told
Sally
you.
Beauty.
Yep, Sally Beauty, they're, you can buy.
PX used to sell them, and for whatever reason, they quit their line except for fingernails.
Yep.
So I've been buying mine off of eBay. That's why I was wondering where
Yep,
you got
yep.
yours.
They have the whole line of those in Walgreens.
Really?
Yep.
Walgreens.
Walgreens?
Walgreens, what's the other one?
Walgreens.
What's the other drugstore? Walgreens and,
Rite Aid?
Right.
Rite Aid.
Yep,
I've seen
yep.
the Sally
The
line.
manicure section?
Yep.
Yep, and you can get them from really coarse to down to shine your
That
fingernails.
4-pack is
I like that.
the best thing to have,
Oh,
in
it's
my
great.
opinion, for general sanding.
You know,
I absolutely love them.
These are great. You know, the file that I mentioned here earlier is great for doing really small spots like on landing gear struts and things like that. But these are for,
I love those.
That
These
number
are-
4 just blows my mind.
Yep,
It
yep.
just, it makes it look completely like a brand new,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything with it when you get to the finish.
yeah.
You do your fingernails with that too afterwards?
No,
Yeah, actually, I've got one in the car that when I trim my fingernails, and I don't do a very good job.
sometimes I'll get my wife's old ones because she thinks they don't sand her nails enough.
still good for
and they're
plastic.
still good for plastic.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the coin,
Yeah.
my wife takes the ones off my model
Yes,
tape.
yes,
She needs one for her nails.
yeah.
Can I borrow your sanding?
Exactly.
Yeah,
My wife will come in and ask me if she needs one replaced.
Because those sticks are good. The ones I get from Sally, there's the dark blue on one half, the light blue on the other half. You flip it over, it's got a darker pink and then the light pink.
Right.
They have a,
Yeah.
one he's
So,
got is called
yeah.
a super shaper or shiner, and
Yeah.
then there's one that's
There's,
not quite as fine.
They're-
It's got another
yeah,
name.
Yeah.
there's one that's got like 8,000 grits, so you can actually do some polishing. And-
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, so I use these things religiously.
Has anybody here tried the Squadron sanding sticks?
I have some.
And
they're
it's
good ones too,
only
yeah.
because of like the guys on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Guys on the East Coast.
No.
They're a distributor.
Yeah.
Not Sprue Brothers.
No.
Farther east.
Anyways, they made their own group of sanding
Yes,
sticks, and they're
yes.
papered at one. And that's the reason I like the Squadron for the same reason.
I was just asking because I use the Squadron ones as well, and I find
Those-
for polishing, the Squadron ones are really
Those
good.
completely suck if you have to get into a tight
Micro
spot.
mark.
Right.
Yep.
Micro
Yeah.
mark. No, not micro
It's
mark?
not.
Okay.
It's something, I'll find it. But anyways,
What are the sanding
They-
sticks that Steve Russo brought over went way back?
That's
Those
Steve.
little thin sticks.
Oh, they were, I know which ones they are, yeah.
Pretzel sticks, yeah.
They're called pencil sticks, yeah. They're sanding sticks.
Stevens International.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Trumpet, yeah,
They
Stevens
make
International,
their
yeah.
own.
Do you need those?
I do.
The small ones, the thin, they're like, they have a,
The ones I got from Steve though
Yeah.
are really coarse. I'm looking for
Right, they're-
a little bit
Yeah.
less-
yes.
They're-
Oh, I've got, as far as coarse ones, I get packs of 50 of them through the Publishers Clearinghouse. They're like these black ones, and they're just coarse on both sides. They're actually for fingernails. And a pack of 50 was like $9.95. And I've got like 6 packs at home. I'll bring you in a pack if you want them.
Yeah.
And then the thin stick ones, those are harder to find, but when we were selling them out of the hobby shop many years ago, and I got a big barrel of them, so I'll bring some in for you.
Cool,
Yeah.
thanks.
I think Stevens did those too.
Yeah, Stevens does those as well. Yep.
Okay.
They have the real thin ones. You can
Right.
buy the different grits, black, they have the blue one, the white one, and pink one. At Hobby Lobby and stuff, they sell those in the model kit areas. And that's what I use, those sanding sticks.
Yep. Yep.
And usually, like the blue one, there's a dark blue on one side, lighter blue on the other. The dark blue is heavier coarse than the light
Yeah.
blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the Squadron sanding sticks, they changed. They're not as flexible as they used to be. They're wider and they're,
Rigid.
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, those
Those are called sanding twigs.
Twigs.
Sanding
Twigs.
Sanding
Yeah.
twigs, that's what they are, yeah.
Yep.
There's an outfit online that sells them by the pack. We used to get them at the hobby
Yeah.
shop, and
Where-
you can still find
What website are
them.
you on there?
I just did a Google search.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
'Cause I
sanding
wasn't sure of
twigs.
name brands.
Sanding twigs.
Yeah, but you can buy the barrel that has different grits in it.
Yeah.
They sell them that way.
Remind me to bring some in
Basic
next
instruction.
meeting.
Yeah.
You gonna be
Basic
here next week?
instruction.
Yep.
Next month?
Yeah.
January?
Okay, and, dry fitting parts, everyone knows what to do about that, before I put glue on anything, even if it's just plain upper and lower, I'll make sure that the parts fit and they're not
absolutely.
warped.
Yep.
Right.
You gotta do that, and then if you've got interior details, they gotta go inside, and then you gotta make sure that,
You can close the
make sure that
halves.
you, on my workbench at home, I've got a Tamiya DO335 underway, and got the cockpit glued into the right side, like I said, and I could not get it to mate, so,
Right.
I finally figured out that I had misaligned it, which is really hard to do with a Tamiya kit.
Yeah, really.
And, was able to
Now,
repair it before
So-
the
now,
glue dries.
if you said any kit from Czechoslovakia, That's
Yep.
normal, the cockpits don't fit, because they're resin parts.
This, you know,
And they
yeah,
don't-
and that's a whole nother subject.
Yes.
You know, this particular thing is a Heinkel 115, is from Special Hobby,
Ooh.
Czechoslovakia.
Yep.
And I found that I had to sand mating edges and then
That's-
the edge
May I?
there. Yeah,
Right.
This also doesn't have alignment pins.
no alignment pins.
Yep, the Czechs just don't believe in alignment
Yep, yep.
pins.
And,
Right.
you know,
I like to do that also, sanding the mating faces.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Because that helps the plastic actually bond better.
it bonds better, you
absolutely.
get
Yeah.
a coarser surface. When I was building the HK 3017, I found that it was easier to do, to make sure that the mating surfaces were smooth, and the edge of the part there where the mating surface was, there was like a little lip. And
Right.
so I'd sand this way and then this way, and I had to do that for the whole airplane, so.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question, okay, like
Yes.
when you put the halves together.
Yes.
And so you got like the nub sticking out here.
Yep.
Do you sand the nub before or after you glue the halves together?
I do it before.
Okay.
You know, and I'll trim this one with the X-Acto knife and hit it with the sanding stick.
Yeah.
And it's good. I just make sure that they're all gone beforehand.
I've heard, because
If the
I've
nub-
seen it both ways, where
Yeah,
people say
yeah.
sometimes it's easier to glue it together
And-
and then sand both nubs at the same time, that way it's even.
Right.
Yep.
Also, you'll find that with some kits, trumpeter is really bad with this. They'll have
Yes.
like a nub on top, and it'll also be on the writing
Right,
surface.
right.
Yep.
There you have no choice.
Yeah,
You've got to
it's-
cut it off
right,
before you
right,
glue the
right.
things
Yep.
together.
And that's a real challenge sometimes. You gotta,
Yeah.
you know, if you can't figure out why those parts don't go together, then yeah, their sprue attachment point goes into the
Yeah,
mating surface.
yeah.
You
What
know,
airplane is that, by the way?
this is a Heinkel 115 float plane. I had a contract build for one, and
Who makes that one?
Special Hobby.
Oh, special.
And
So
when
48 scale?
Yeah, when I got the kit, this, you know, if you look at this,
Big float.
it is not
It is.
straight
It's a
in
big airplane.
any direction.
Yep.
I got it this close to being true, but it was so out of shape.
Oh, yeah. Just holding it, I could see that.
Yeah.
Look right at that. Look at that curve, right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's warped this way
Yeah.
and this way.
Yeah, look at it.
And
Hobbies.
You see right there, when he ended it to you, I saw it right away.
you know, it would make left turns really easy without the use of a rudder. But, you know.
You're also going to have a problem with your horizontal stabilizer.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh,
One's
yeah.
higher than the other.
So I wrote to Special Hobby, and they did send me a replacement fuselage, but I tried to save this, and the putty I used is this Speisenecker. It's a typical auto body type putty. You know, that's my putty.
Like the green
It's like the
spot filler.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 3M, yeah.
This is the same sort of basic stuff. This is pretty fine stuff, so it sands really well. It tends to shrink a little more than I like, so you have to usually do a couple of layers, but it works really well for me. So this is, yeah, I've still got a lifetime supply there. You know, but the green filler putty that you can get at any auto body store is basically the same as this. It works well with the plastic.
Yeah, either the Bondo or the 3M.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
The bad part is trying to thin it down, you gotta use lacquer thinner, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really stinky, so.
But it sands
I
really.
got
That's why
kids in the
I use
house, I
this-
can't do it in the house.
Yeah, that's why I use the spot putty instead
sand-
of.
yeah, it sands
the
really well.
coarser
It does.
stuff. Yes.
And about a year or so ago, I discovered this perfect plastic putty.
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
It's great for filling small
Small,
seams. You know, like a wing rip to fuselage or the you know, just a deck to a hull of a ship or something like that. It's not good for anything like this.
No, yeah.
But this is really good.
Where'd you get that one?
You can buy it online,
it's
everywhere.
online.
And I've got the older tube, you know,
Oh, the
it's a
older-
big fat
The
one,
older
yeah.
tube is a fat tube,
Yeah.
and it dries up and
Yeah,
dies.
and
about that
the thing is, it's an acrylic, so you
Yeah.
can wipe it off with water
It's
too.
like
Yeah.
it's like almost like a spackling
Yeah,
paste.
yeah, exactly.
And it's great for seams. You don't even need to sand. You can wipe it down with water, and your narrow seams are really yeah, and it takes paint really well. So
Yeah.
Have you tried the Vallejo water-based putty. This
I have not tried that.
I have that too, and it works
Yeah,
really good.
Does
too.
I
it?
like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not tried that.
Small blue and white tube.
Yep.
and it's really fine. There's no grit to it at all.
Yep.
Yep. So one, so my choice of glue is, getting onto glue is, I like the Tamiya extra thin. It works for me. I prefer the liquid glues. It's been decades since I've used the tube glues, because I'd end up getting more glue on the surface than anywhere else, so.
Yeah.
But,
I like
Yep.
the Testers. Has
Testers
a
is-
thin glue in a black bottle.
Yep.
With a long needle on
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Which is really nice. It's a little bit thicker than the liquid glue.
Yeah.
But it does a really nice job of creating a bond because it sits in place and doesn't cure fast.
Yeah.
Well,
So
to
it
me-
does a better job of.
Tamiya
welding.
has the thick one in the orange bottle
Yeah.
that I like to
It's
use.
more expensive than the Testers.
Well, probably, but I like to use that in certain places where, you need to dry slower, so we're
Right.
putting engines together.
Right.
So I can still adjust it or whatnot. Now, if I'm building figures, like those Marvel figures done by Toy Biz and
Yep,
stuff, they
yep.
got huge seam lines, and I'll use the red tester cement tube, because that thing will ooze out, melt all the plastic,
then
and
you-
fill the gaps, and you can just sand it.
So, and, this has got a really fine brush and it's great for small parts.
Yep.
If you've got a really large part like this, I use just a pen nib, just a drafting ink pen nib. You can, it opens up so you can get a really wide
Yeah.
and down to really fine. And if you've got a whole long seam like I've got here, just dispense with that, and it just dips it in, and you've got maybe a 1/4 inch liquid glue there, and it just
Capillary.
right down the whole seam, and it covers the whole seam at once.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. That's a pretty good
And,
idea. I
yeah,
like
just
that.
drafting,
It's a nice idea.
it works really well for really long parts, like the aforementioned B-17.
Yeah.
One of the seams is that long.
Right.
Just a couple of dips in this and it covers the whole thing.
I use a paintbrush.
Yep.
You can use a paintbrush, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the paintbrush is it'll harden, as long as it's natural hair, not nylon.
Right.
It'll harden, but as soon as you dip it in the next time, it's soft
Soft
again.
again.
So,
Now, some of my,
These tips, when they're new,
yep,
they're ideal for that, for long seams.
Yes.
That's what I use when I want to use a super glue.
yep,
And of course, these, you can go to any hobby shop
Right.
and get the tips separately.
yeah.
And they
I've
come
had
in different
problems with the
sizes.
tips.
They
getting-
clog up.
They clog
Yeah.
up.
They clog up and you have to cut them down and
Yeah.
once you get the
I-
hole too large, it works against itself.
I've been real careful with, yep,
But you can get the caps for all of the Bob's Industry glues at RC Hobbies
Yep.
down in Lacey. They sell them, I think they're like 40-something cents a piece or something like that.
yep. So anyway, and then I use tape to hold the parts together after
Oh,
the
yeah.
glue sat there for a minute.
Absolutely.
Masking tape or whatever cheap tape I got this from, and that works really well. Some guys use clamps, that you can
Oh,
buy
rubber
these little.
bands. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you can buy the spring clamps, they sell them at like,
Plastic spring.
yeah, they
You've
sell them
got
at
from,
Harbor
tool
Freight and stuff like
stores.
that.
Harbor
But the-
Freight.
Yeah.
those are good for like wings and stuff, but on a fuselage, they'll try to crush it.
Nothing
Yeah.
beats tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of manufacturers that use a softer
Yep.
plastic.
Yeah.
And if you use clamps, you'll put a mark.
Or you'll
Oh, yeah.
crush it.
Or you'll
yeah.
crush it, yeah.
Yep, and this would be a logical subject to get.
Do you
into.
use Tamiya tape?
I use Tamiya tape.
I think Tamiya tape's the best.
Yep.
That stuff's fabulous.
Yep.
It comes in different sizes. It leaves no residue. And for you guys that use acrylic paint, that's essential.
But that's,
Yep.
Tamiya tape's expensive. I use regular blue tape on something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the painter's tape, and
Painter's
if you
tape.
use a good quality, like 3M painter's tape, you get that whole big roll for like $2, and it leaves no residue. Now, if you buy a
It's-
cheaper version,
It's
yeah.
It's a little more than that now, but,
Yeah.
it just went there the other day, and I've got a roll that's gonna last through maybe a quarter of my model.
Yeah, exactly,
You know,
exactly, yeah.
But it's really good. I just grabbed this because it fit in the box.
Just don't use the frog version.
Yeah.
Well, frog is more, yeah.
No.
It has a heavier glue on it.
Well, it has the edges too
Yeah.
that supposedly do something, you know,
Yeah.
that might leave something on your model.
So, and I don't recommend using super glue for anything that's plastic only. You know, the liquid glues have enough adhesive, so if you got a butt join the wing on here, it will hold.
Right, right.
You know, so this is good for resin and photo etch only.
Correct.
And then we got Danny,
And
that's
that-
all he uses for
And
all
that
his
there
models.
is actually the one I like the best, the MaxiCure, because it takes a good 30, 40 seconds to set.
Yeah.
And that way, if you make a mistake, especially when you're doing rails on a battleship.
And I have a story about that, which I will indulge here. This is the thick stuff. I'm not allowed to use the thin stuff anymore. So a number of years ago, this is
Oh,
gold.
Gord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And this resin figure was, it's about 13, 14 inches tall. And I got it from a friend of mine, and I was gluing it together, and I figured, well, there's a nice seam there, you know, and I'll just hold it like this, and I'll just pour a little bit of glue down there.
The thin stuff, the
Thin
fast.
stuff.
Oh.
Yep. The thin stuff, you know, and it went down perfectly. And then, you know, and I'm holding it like this, and then I noticed that it's running down my hand,
Yep.
dripping onto my pants,
Yep.
and then onto the chair,
Yep.
and and I got it set on the workbench, and then I called my wife, Jill, and she came down and laughed. You know, so, you know, just, fortunately, she didn't have her phone with her, so she couldn't take a picture of me glued to my workbench and my chair. You know, it said, do you have any
Fingernail
nail
polish remover, acetone.
And,
Yep.
you know, unfortunately, she had not enough to get me completely unhinged, but I finally got the pants peeled away from my skin.
Yep.
And I ripped my pants away from the chair, and you know, and I got myself cleaned up, and I had glue
Yeah.
running down my
Oh, yeah,
arm, and,
yeah.
you know, and it just matted to the hair on my arm, and it just.
And it defies your senses. You
Yes.
don't know it's there until it's dry.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
it's too late.
Oh, this is just, you know, so.
Yeah. Oh, what happened? Oh, shit.
Yeah, basically.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah,
I was
and-
using
and-
the fast stuff to put a rail on a battleship.
Yeah,
And then
you
I
know.
got this awful itch on my eye, and I went,
Oh,
crap!
No.
Called the wife.
so,
First thing she did was grab the cell phone, take pictures, send them to all the relatives. Look what my dumb husband did this time. Luckily for me, I have a large bottle of nail polish.
I keep one when I'm using it on the
I've got-
table.
Got the same effect though on plastic.
you know,
doesn't it?
I've got the bottle
It
there,
bonds skin and
Yes.
bonder, and I've got the largest container of nail polish
Yeah,
remover.
yeah, you learned, right?
I haven't,
That's- yeah.
but I haven't stuck myself together too badly since then. But that was quite an adventure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and of course, after I got cleaned up, you know, trying to get the model off the table, you know, it's just I had to get a putty knife to, and it finally did come loose, and then, you know, and then I had this wad of glue running down Gort's arm and up to his helmet, stuff like that, and it was nice and thick, and you know, and I had to use a number 2 grit sanding stick to get it back down to the bare resin.
Yeah.
But that's my story, and
We've all been there.
We've all,
yeah,
yes.
but
That's why I like that stuff.
you know
Just the thicker one?
because that's
The thicker one takes about 30, 35 seconds to
it
to
takes
cure.
time. You know, you can apply it with a toothpick or a dental tool. One thing I forgot was dental tools. I use these for scrapers, you know, like for removing seams on
Yep.
struts and things like that. You know, go talk to your dentist if he's got tools that he's going to throw away. You got any tools you're going to throw away? You know, just and so my dentist before he kicked gave me a whole rack of tools.
And if your dentist won't give them to you, you can go to like these auto swap meets and stuff. There's always
Oh, yeah,
somebody.
there's always somebody selling
There's like
those,
a
yes.
buck a piece or something. They have forceps. They have
At the model
everything.
shows too. There's always a vendor at the model show selling those.
Yep.
Where's that?
So
At any auto show, you know, like the
I know
good
the
guys.
Fairleigh- the Pure Fairleigh guys have a booth that sell like,
Yep.
but I haven't seen them the last couple of years.
Yep. So anyway, you know, that's some basic stuff. Don't glue yourself to your workbench. you know, I finally did find someone, I got it cleaned up and this is in its coat of primer and it finally got finished and went away. So I don't have that nightmare to live with anymore. But,
What do you use to bond your canopies to the kit?
for canopies, I use microscale crystal clear.
Okay.
You know, now like side windows on B-17, I'll glue those in. But for canopies like in a Mustang or any other airplane, I'll use the crystal clear. Because there's enough adhesive in there to
Hold in place,
hold it in place.
and it won't fog up the plastic.
Nope. Yep. That's-
Okay.
Yep.
I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard that if you dip, like I've tried it on cars and car models and it's worked, but I haven't tried it on the aircraft canopy that's around it. If you dip it in future,
Yes.
let it dry,
Yes.
then if you could use like the Tamiya glue or whatnot, it will
It
not
won't-
fog.
It won't
Right.
fog. Yep.
That's what I heard.
Yep, that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's done it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it works really well.
yeah.
You know, for whatever the future's called now, it keeps changing names.
It's pledged with future or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
But-
I did-
you know, you buy one bottle and it'll last you a
I
lifetime.
did all my
So.
windshields in future, because I put dry transfers on them, and I don't peel them off.
Okay.
And then I do them, and I let them dry, and I glue them in with super glue.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm lazy. 99% of all my glue is into super glue. I'll probably use because I like instant results, so I can just keep moving down the line.
Yeah. I know, I also use white glue.
Yes, Elmer's. I've heard Elmer's is
Elmer's
good
work good
too.
on canopies, yep.
Yep, Elmer's is a good glue to
That
use.
works well for plastic. It's a little bit thicker, so, you know, like side windows and stuff like that, it works well. But the one thing I like about Crystal Clear or Testers also has a clear parts glue.
Yep.
Is that you can also make small windows,
Windows,
just
right,
with that
right.
Oh, yes,
material.
yes, it works
which
really
comes
well.
out really nice.
One thing I like about Elmer's is that, you know, you glue a canopy on, you know, like the windscreen part is usually a separate part.
Right.
And I find that using Elmer's to fill that seam works really well,
Right.
so. yep.
And then a lot of guys use Elmer's to test fit parts. You know, the whole parts together, and then you can just, with a little water, wipe them off later on. They go apart.
Interesting.
This is
Yeah.
a fabulous seam filler.
Yes.
You can
yes.
do it in layers.
Yes.
It doesn't shrink. It won't harm the plastic, and it works better than putty. I use that strictly now for all my wing to fuselage joints on my airplane, or my empennage to vertical stabilizer.
How does it sand? I heard it's hard to
Well, I
sand.
was gonna say, that's the downside
That
of
is.
us.
Yeah.
Use it as a
The
filler.
super glue, hard to
You can't
sand.
tell
After-
what you're actually sanding.
After a time.
Well, that's true.
it
That is
gets
true.
Really
Yep.
hard. You can
Plastic's
sand it
weaker.
after it's
Yeah, but
set.
the beauty
Okay.
about
but
this
it
stuff
gets
is when you
really
take,
hard after, say, 24 hours or something like that.
Right.
So-
Because I've seen guys using it as a gap filler.
Yep.
Yep.
And they'll pour it in the gap and they'll
Right.
add baking soda on
Yep.
it.
Yes.
yes, so you can see where it is. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Why the baking soda?
That's what I was gonna say.
It helps it harden and it gives it visibility.
Yeah.
Super glue.
Yeah,
This
super glue.
particular, the thick stuff.
The big thing
Yep.
is when it's invisible or invisible, whatever you wanna call it, it's stronger than your plastic.
Yep.
So that's something you have to be aware of as you're starting your sanding to
Yes,
level it all
right,
out.
right.
Yep.
Cause
You can
It's
lose
been burned.
plastic.
Yep, yep.
Well, there is a way of, when it comes to a wing to fuselage joint with this super glue, to avoid sanding completely, what you do is apply that on there, and since it takes about 35 seconds, take your finger, dip it in nail polish remover, and then press it along the seam of the glue. The excess will come out and blend with the plastic, and it'll flatten out clear, and you don't have to sand it.
And you won't have your fingers stuck. to
And you won't have your finger stuck to it, that's right. I learned that lesson from using regular Testers cement.
Yep.
Wet your finger,
Yep.
it becomes glue-proof from it, and that's how, if I don't have that, I'll use the Tester cement, and I'll do the seams on inside seams for fuselages or wing
Yeah, but
fuselage
the
joints.
second time you do it, you go, ooh, what's that taste, right?
That's true. That's
I
why,
like it.
that's why I always have paper towels, and I clean my fingers before I.
What was that T-shirt? I think Seattle Club was wearing. So super glue only works when the parts are in the wrong place. The modelers swear by it.
You know,
So what about putting like a lead weight into a, the nose of an airplane? Or what do you use? Super glue?
I use super glue. Yeah.
That stuff,
Yeah,
right there,
that stuff.
Maxi-Cure.
Yep.
Takes a little longer to seal, but once it's on there, it's not coming out.
Yeah.
What I've been using
Put on the hard floor.
is just using a hot glue gun.
Oh, that's a good
Because
one.
I've been taking that, like, on a P-38, you gotta put it in the nose and the cells, right? Because otherwise,
there's-
I don't care what P-38 you're making, it's always gonna sit
There's
back.
nowhere to
Tail
put it.
setter, yeah.
Well, it depends on the site. Sometimes I'll spray a long bead and I'll just put little BBs in it.
Yeah,
Just fill up with a lot of BBs,
Yep.
you know?
But you
Weights in the engine nacelles.
Yeah, that's what I said, the engine or the nose sometimes.
Or
you know?
both.
Or both.
In your B-25 case, you need to have both, but it's interesting that the company that originated that kit, Accurate Miniatures, they gave you custom weights for all their B-25s.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they went over to, who took them over? Academy?
Academy.
They took the weights out of the kits.
Not
Which
even
is
in the instructions.
ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they were perfectly designed for that kit.
Right.
And, you know, the DO335, which I'm working on at home, they came with the weights.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the right nose weight, so,
That's like the Tamiya, the new P-38 they came out with.
yeah.
It has the ball bearing that you put in each engine nacelle and the nose.
And the nose.
And it's molded in there, the cup to put the ball bearing in there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So-
what I like about the
Tamiya
Tamiya
one.
stuff.
Yeah, Tamiya one, the new Tamiya one, it's what, running like $100.
But that doesn't have,
Yes.
that one doesn't
It's
have
a 1/32 scale as
Oh,
well.
1/32
Yeah.
scale.
1/32
I think-
scale.
No.
No,
Wasn't it
48.
1/48 scale?
1/48
But it's running almost
Right.
$100
It's
bucks.
pricey.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, everything's pricey today.
So,
That's the new F, right?
and so after
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
I think it's FG or F.
one thing on your sanding, you know, so what I use the dental tool for is, you know, if you've got a model with engraved panel lines, I use the little dental scraper to go into the seam.
Oh, yeah,
panel line
yep,
and just
yep.
scrape the putty residue out, and that works really well, so. But, yeah, this is just,
Yeah, that's a great tale.
So-
When you handed it to him, I could see that.
oh, you know, you should have seen it before.
That's very typical of the Chuck kits, though.
So you
Just-
find it only with the fuselage there?
It was the rest of the kit was fine. It was just, they took the fuselage mold out of the cavity too soon, and where that big glob of putty is there, it was, the gap was, with the other fuselage half was like a 1/4 inch. It had warped that badly.
I had a problem similar to this on a 32nd scale Azure DWT 520, and the only way I was able to get it to straighten out was build it just like you have it here, the whole fuselage, and then hold it over a cantle, back and forth, and then twist it.
So even a hot water, you tried hot water?
I don't like using hot water because it dissipates the heat too quickly, and hot water doesn't uniformly heat something. You got to actually know how to run it over a heat source to get a better result. With hot water, but since the plastic isn't uniform, some of it will get too soft, some will, you know.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it. I just haven't mastered it with hot water. I have with a candle.
Over a flame, I'm actually melting.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
I
you
know.
pause on the the
Keep it
candle,
away, Harno.
you can just practice stretching sprue.
There you go. There you
There you
go.
go.
And then I'll be calling you because I'll be like Seth, I set myself on fire.
Yeah, you will. So,
No.
the fuselages that are front and rear halves like that, what's your trick for putting the two parts together
Yeah.
so that they match nicely?
So you've got,
You get the front part and the tail, yeah.
okay, I haven't built many models that way. You know, this was, I cut in half, you know, just.
Oh, okay.
You know, this, it comes as one piece like that.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so I took
Okay.
the half for the build that I was doing and wanged it off until I got the new tail. and put the
Okay,
new tail on.
okay.
Got
So-
it, okay.
But doing that, you know, it's just do the two halves first, I would suggest, and
Right.
make sure they match up this way, and then just.
I built the accurate
no alignment
miniatures.
pins on that.
No.
No, there's no
So you
alignment.
take some
pins.
evergreen strips and
Yeah.
make them on the inside.
And that's what people have been doing is
Yep.
they're putting some strips in the inside.
Put a reinforcing
Yeah.
strip.
Exactly.
This, look inside of the.
Yeah, he's got a bunch in there,
Yeah,
you
I've-
see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. I built the accurate miniatures P51B.
Yes, yes.
And it's produced exactly like that. It's got 4 fuselage parts.
Oh,
2
okay.
on the front half, 2 on the back half.
Yeah.
And then you make them together.
They
And
did
was
that-
just
Yeah,
ugly.
they did that as a means of saving money so they can use the same back
Same
half for the D model.
Right.
I guess next year it'll be, I have an old Revell P47 kit that I'm working on now that I've actually cut part of the fuselage because I converted it from the kit P47 Razorback D to a B model where the fuselage is actually shorter and the keel is different. And I had to do the same thing, had to cut into
Yep.
that part, put a reinforcing plate on the inside and made everything. And you really gotta be careful. Someone should do a good, I mean, you can do a great talk session on how to handle a saw when you're cutting a plastic part.
That's Mark.
Because it really takes a lot of
Patience and-
Yeah.
a lot of patience and a lot of time to do
Yeah,
that.
that'd be
You
a
know,
good subject.
that's the problem I always have is, after I get my body putty, I was a car or a plane, I was describing my lines, like with that putty, it starts chipping on me.
You know.
The
Yeah.
putty starts chipping on you?
The putty, like, if
Yeah.
my scribe line goes with the
Flake
putty,
off.
it seems to always chip on me, no matter what kind of putty I use.
How long do you wait for the putty to dry?
Quite a while,
Over a day?
sometimes.
See,
And
one-
it still chips?
I feel like it does.
Yeah.
Maybe not every time, but you know when it happens, like,
Oh,
every
yeah,
time.
it's annoying, yeah.
So one thing that you can do in that case is you put your putty on, and before it dries, just carve that band line in
Yeah.
through there.
That's right.
And just
While it's still soft.
while it's still soft. And,
Yep.
And you know, that has worked for me.
The problem is you never see me putty, it's like all over my arm, all over my pants, all beside the plate.
Oh, like his super glue?
Also, you find that using the backside of the blade for doing panel lines, you'll find you'll have more control with the
Right.
knife than the
Yes.
sharp end. The sharp end, because you're digging into plies, it tends to walk away from you. The back side of the blade, I use the back side of the blade a lot.
I do.
Especially when I do airplane models, because most World War II airplane models, the elevators, when there's nobody in the cockpit and the airplane is
They're
sitting on the
supposed to be
ground,
down.
they're supposed to drop down.
Right, right.
Okay? And to cut those panels out, when you use the sharp end of a blade, you'll ruin the part. Always use the back end and scribe it.
Scribe over and
Just
over.
take your
Yep,
time,
yep.
and it'll break super clean.
Anytime I do evergreen strips, like I'm cutting strips, I always back blade.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Like you put it down
Yep.
sharp plays, no matter what kind of straightedge you use, also, yeah, there you go, right off the side.
Yep.
Good. So, you know, there's a few more basics. And just don't glue yourself to your model.
Yeah, nice, very well.